imagine a big game to play into date?
We had a big game against Collingwood earlier in the year on Easter Thursday, and we're pretty disappointed with how we performed. So we're really looking forward to the chance to play Geelong this weekend, and get out there in front of 35,000 of our home fans, and keep playing the brand of football that's got us 8 wins in a row so far.
What was the biggest thing you took out of that Collingwood game? Because that's been a theme this week.
Probably we just tried to go too quick at times, which can be a mix of different things. That can be crowd, it can be nerve related, and we're even playing a little bit different now to how we were earlier in the season. So for us, it's just about playing with composure and sticking to our brand of football. And if we do that for the 4 quarters, that'll hold us in good stead. And we know if we do that, the result will take care of itself.
Is there any uncertainty coming into this game, Witho? Like, you've won 8 in a row, but you haven't, I guess, matched a team in the top 4 for quite a while.
Yeah, well, we played the Giants at a time when they were in the top 4, and they were going really well down at Spotless, and I think they averaged 74-point winning margins when we played them then. So we took them on and were able to play well down there. We've had some tough interstate trips as well, like Hawthorn and Tassie is always tough, and Port Adelaide to Adelaide. So we still think we've played really good opposition over the last 2 months, and you can only really play, what the fixture decides for you. So we're looking forward to the chance of playing Geelong this weekend, and you can't be overawed by the situation. You've got to embrace it, and we're really excited about really testing out where we're at, and I think we'll know a little bit more after Saturday.
Should you win tonight, that pretty much locks in top 4, but potentially top 2. There hasn't been a home final in Brisbane since 2009. Is that something that you're aiming for?
Home finals and everything, they're all nice to talk about, but you've got to worry about the process. If you start thinking about the results, that's when you become fearful, and you don't stick to the process and play the way you want to play. So for us, we're just worrying about taking care of business on the weekend and going out there and playing our really strong brand of football. And if we are able to beat a very strong Geelong side, then the rest of it will take care of itself. But I'm pretty sure we're locked in the top 6 at the moment, so I'm pretty sure that means we get a home final at some stage, nonetheless.
50 games for you this weekend?
Yep.
Yeah, and I guess you're indicative of the group that a lot of boys were playing senior footy maybe before they should have, but now that is all coming and paying off with getting that 50 under your belt.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's sort of the direction the club took in 2016, 2017, just try and get games into us younger guys, myself, Jared, Hugh, Eric. So that was a big learning curve for us. We're going out there against bigger, hardened bodies, and we maybe at times weren't ready to be playing AFL footy, but I think it's held us in really good stead, and we've probably learnt lessons a little bit quicker than maybe other people can because we've been exposed to those opportunities. And now Hugh and Jared have both played their 50th in recent weeks. Eric's played 70 odd, and I'm lucky enough to play my 50th this week. So I think that's been, indicative of how the group's grown this year. We've been able to get more games, more experience into more players, and I think that's starting to show with our more mature performances on the field.
Single swim. In the deep end.
Yeah, that's it. That's the best way to go about it, isn't it?
For that young group, is this potentially the biggest game that you've ever played in?
Potentially. As I touched on earlier, we did play against Collingwood earlier in the year, but it's going to be a massive game on the weekend and a massive occasion. And to be a good side in this competition, you've got to perform on these occasions, and if you don't, you'll find yourself reeling. So we know we've got to be at our absolute best on the weekend, and we're really excited for the challenge.
A lot of people are saying the game this weekend against Richmond will show whether you guys are genuine premiership contenders. Do you think you need to show that, or do you think you guys are the real deal?
Well, it's a fair question you ask. Obviously, we've not played Richmond or Geelong yet this year, and they're both very strong sides. So it'll be a good test for us over the next fortnight to see where we're at against those sides. But we've played, 16 other sides throughout the competition and held our own on most occasions. So I think we're going all right. But yeah, it'll be a great test over the next couple of weeks, and I'm sure we'll learn a few lessons from those games, win, lose or draw, and we'll use those lessons to help us improve and grow.
A bit earlier on, you touched on not being fearful. Is that something that's trying to be rammed home this week?
Yeah, well, if you play fearful, then that's when you make mistakes and you become timid and your attack on the ball isn't there and you don't play the brand of footy you want to play. So for us, it's about just continuing to play the Lions brand, playing that fearless, ruthless type of footy, and that's held us in good stead for 20 weeks up until this point of time in the season. So that's just going to be the main focus for us.
Compared to some of those tough years a few years back to now, what have been some of the major differences and changes within the group?
Yeah, so I actually got here in 2017, and for me, I've found this place to be a positive environment the whole time. And Fags, win, lose or draw over the last 3 years, he's been heavily focused on the process, and we knew once we got that right that the results would start to come. And the environment's the exact same around the footy club. Like, we come in here, we have fun. It's a great place to come to work, and for us, it's about getting better each and every week and continuing to grow. And I think we've done that over the last 3 years, and it hasn't just been, as some people might suggest, just a blimp of success. It's just popped up. I guess it's been growing for a couple of years now, and we'll continue to do so. Whatever happens this year, next year, the year after, we're always about continuing to grow, because that's how you continue to move forward.
I know you've spoken a couple of weeks ago how you struggled here early and you weren't enjoying yourself, but obviously now you're happy to be here. Can you look back on a moment that it all turned, or was there a specific time when you thought, yeah, this is going to be all right?
I can't think back on a particular moment, but as I touched on recently, it wasn't anything to do with the footy club that I was struggling. It was more my own ability to deal with injury, moving away from home, that sort of thing that I struggled with initially. And I think as I developed a greater support network and friendship group, I was able to deal with those troubles a little bit better. And obviously, you know, when you're a young kid and you move out of home and you're a little bit vulnerable, it's about starting to feel comfortable when you're uncomfortable, and I think that's what I learnt to deal with. And I guess I've embraced living up here now and absolutely love it, and couldn't see myself being anywhere else. And obviously now the rewards we're starting to reap the rewards somewhat of investing in this footy club.
Did the club help you with that as well? Did the club sort of...
Absolutely, they invested a lot of time and resources into helping us young guys, and as we've seen with their recruiting strategy, they've got a lot of Vic Country boys up here in the last few years, which has probably made the transition a lot easier as well. And Andrew Crow, Head of Welfare, David Noble, Mel Lambert at the time, like, everyone's been great in making us feel extremely welcome.
Have you kept an eye on other people, I guess, drafted after you? You know, for people that might have been in a similar position to you?
Yeah, I think in the first 12 months you probably continue to speak to those guys that you drafted with a little bit and see how they're dealing with the move and everything. And I think for a lot of kids, they go through the same sort of emotions and feelings early in that initial 6-month phase. And I guess we just bounce ideas off each other about learning how to deal with it and what's worked for them, what hasn't. And I guess that's when you start to figure it out yourself a little bit. And yeah, I mean, I don't talk to those guys as much now, but whenever I do, I like to check in and see how they're going. And I mean, most people, 90% of people end up staying at their club and love it. So, I mean, it's just part of the industry these days. There's going to be different challenges that are put forward. And as we saw last year with Beamsy, you can still have your own things dealing with them at 28 or 29, or you can be 18 or 19 having to deal with things. So everyone has their own challenges in life.
You've obviously had a lot to do with Cam. Well, you live with him, you see him all the time. How big has the pressure, have you noticed that the pressure this year has been increased on him? Obviously, his form at the start of the season wasn't what it was like, what he would have liked, but he's playing a lot better now, and his football's really starting to come along better. Yeah,
well, there's a lot of pressure externally on Cam, and that just comes with the tag of being the #1 draft pick. But I think the best thing about Cam is he's pretty happy and easygoing, and he had a lot of support from, you know, the captain, Dane Zorko. Luke Hodge was a former #1 draft pick that sat down with him and took him for coffee and sort of spoke about he had form issues earlier in his career as well and how he dealt with them, and I think that helped Cam as well. And Fags has stuck really fat with him, and that's given him a lot of confidence. And internally, he was still playing a role for the footy club, and I'm sure if you speak to any of the other forwards, he was still really important to our structure and how we want to set up forward of the ball. So he still played an important role, although he may not have had the statistics that outsiders might see as important, but we still held him in high regard. And now he's starting to reap the rewards, I guess, a little bit of, you know, that he's slimmed down a little bit and lost a little bit of weight as well, and he's been working really hard on his game, and I think now we're starting to see him play at his dynamic best.
As one of his closest
The last
friends,
question.
as one of his closest friends, are you impressed by the maturity he's shown this year? He's still a really young man. He had so much pressure, as you said.
Yeah.
And he's been able to work his way through the whole season, and hopefully he's going to be a big part of a successful finals.
Absolutely. The way he's dealt with it, it's just been first class. I mean, he's a 19-year-old kid that's he's moved away from his family and friends. He's living with me, who's 20-year-old, and still got no idea what he's doing. So between the two of us, we've started to work it out a little bit, and he's just showed maturity beyond his years to be able to deal with all that external noise and put it behind him and come out the other side and play good footy. I mean, there's been a lot of blokes in the past that haven't been able to deal with that and have gone the other way, and I guess that shows true to his character about he likes to stick it up people, and I think that's what he'll do in the next few weeks and hopefully in the final series.